So Gatari, thank you for joining me today. And we had this great debate a couple of weeks ago with a few people from around the world on the subject of food. Your project really caught my attention. It's great to have the opportunity to learn more. And if we could start perhaps by introducing, it's a collective, right, the Bakudapan. So if you could start maybe for people who don't know anything about Bakudapan, like the basics of where you are, how many members, how long have you been going for, like just give an overview. That would be great.
Yeah, thank you for inviting. And yeah, I'm now speaking from Yogyakarta, Indonesia, and I'm speaking behalf of Bakudapan. Basically, Bakudapan consists of 8 members, but for now, only me can be participated in this live session, and then so Bakudapan is a food study group, but we called ourselves as a collective because practically we work in the idea and the concept of collectives, and we mostly always the form of studying together as the main methods of working. So we are producing an artwork, we are doing research, and we always starting to working on a certain issue based on our daily life activities, and we wanted ourselves to always like being in curious situations that push us to always like learning and studying, and we are using our togetherness for being in a form of a study group. So yeah, and mostly we are always using food as a door to like speaking for the broader issue, and as well as such as like the political, historical, cultural aspects that ties on the food itself.
Interesting. Gatari, is it, am I pronouncing it right? Is it Gatari or Gatari Surya? Can I say just Gatari, or how do I pronounce your name?
Yeah, you can call me Surya Kusuma is my full name, but you can call me as Gatari.
Okay, thank you. Gatari, one of the things that, a couple of things that interest me is we are talking a lot about in contemporary art, about this interdisciplinarity, how different disciplines combine to do something. And so one of the things I'm curious about, out of these 8 members, are they all artists?
Yeah. Our background, we are quite in a various backgrounds of members. For example, there are artists, students, writers, or researchers, but mostly we are have the background of anthropology and philosophy. So okay. Mostly, and it influence our work, how we work using the ethnography methods.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So they are not all artists, these 8 members. You have anthropologists, you have philosophers, you have, there is a mix. And how do you, I think a couple of questions more, and I knew this was going to be very, very interesting. And one is, like creatively, when you're making decisions, like an anthropologist can have like a view that's completely different from a philosopher or from an artist. So how does it work, like to create something together when the views, doesn't the artist sometimes have resistance to have something that comes from a different perspective, or vice versa? Or it's completely fluid?
Yeah, that's good questions. This year we are in our 5th year, and we are in the phase that now we already know how we can put ourselves in a collective working. So, but basically we are always departing from the idea of studying together and doing research. That's our very main first step from creating work. And and we are in the same level of understanding about how we are working, and we are agree that we use the ethnography as the main methods of doing research, because we want to first, because it a methods and the way of learning that really close to us personally or collectively, but it also shows us or like lead us to see like how the daily life activities can showing or like can let us getting close or like to see the how far it brings us to see the political, the cultural aspects. And because as we know that food is always the things that always around us, and food is always like uh, that has the personal relations with people's in this world. So that's why like we want to use the ethnography methods as the first the primary methods for working, because it has the relations between the humans to see like the issue or like the social context itself. And but we also oftenly producing an artwork and joining in the exhibitions, because we are seeing that art can give us the what is it, like the broader platform for us to like creating or like doing experiments with the medium of presentations. And we wanted ourselves to be in a easy understanding to delivering the message. So for example, if we are doing research like for example the 65 history in Indonesia, where the Suharto, the dictatorships era has like very complex situations and very long history for Indonesia, and we want to use art as a medium to like delivering the message, so everyone can see or like everyone can be understand that issue is easily. So, and art also has the value that very fluid, and we also using it as a way to like speaking or like for, speak up of, for the certain issue. And yeah, firstly we have that same level of understandings about how the methods and like how to deciding which medium that we will choose to use for presenting our works. And then it continues with the negotiating, or like we always like having the bigger meeting with the full team members about uh, how we can work with this issue, or like what kind of methods that we will use to like speak of this issue. And also in where we can stop to work on this issue or like in these topics of research. And I can say that we don't have like very exact form to working or like to collaborating between the ethnography and art, because it's the things that always like fluid and like feeling each other. So if we can see like, oh, maybe we need this certain perspective from the side B using the ethnography, but we have to see like how this perspective can be shaped, and we need to philosophical perspective to understand this issue. So it's kind of like the collaborative working among us.
Right, right. So just let me recap to see if I understood, because I find it very, very interesting. And so maybe before that, tell me, how was the first 6 months of Bakudapan? Like when you first met, how did you put it together? How did it start? And tell me a bit about the origin.
We started with Bakudapan was founded by our others two college. One is artists that usually using food as a medium of working, and the second is at that time she is the anthropological students, and they started Bakudapan as a group and like inviting people who are interested to discussing about the food.
So she was both, she was an artist who was interested in food, but was also studying anthropology.
Yeah. The other is studying anthropology.
Okay, the two founders.
Yeah, the two founders. And at that time, I joined Bakudapan from the first discussion, the first meeting. And for the 6 months, I can say that we are quite naive at the time, because we were seeing that food has the strong relations with the lifestyle. That of course, but we using our personal perspective to like speaking about the food, like for example the food and the memories, and like the food, how we can construct the hygienic idea of the food itself, because it's constructed by our family or like our past when we were in the childhood, and like how the food can shows us the what is it, like the romantic, not like, what is it, like how the food can shows us that this is the good taste and this is the bad taste, and we are speaking about the range of the taste itself, and we are seeing that with that steps we were seeing that performing in an artwork into an artwork as the idealistic medium for us to like showing all the things that inevitable showed by a food. And but that happened maybe like 1 year, and then we tried to like creating a journal publication, and at that moment we were realized that we have to push, or like we have to put ourselves not only seeing the relation between the food and ourselves personally, but we have to see behind the food itself, like how the food can be made, like the labor and the relations between the land and the plants, and like how the bigger institutions has the control for creating the certain food system in a certain area. And yeah, and I can say that that process for when we were creating a journal, it's kind of the adulting process for us.
Interesting. How did you I'm just taking notes here.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it all sounds very easy and fluid, like and natural and spontaneous when you're talking. But when I'm talking to artists, like it may be a challenge for them. One, to work with somebody from another discipline. Two, to decentralize and co-create with the group. Three, to create some sort of governance of how this group will create together. It's like four, how to define authorship. The number of things that a number of things that may be problems and maybe stop people that somehow you manage to overcome, and to be doing something that in my eyes is very aligned with like the spirit of the time now, because you are doing things in group, you're creating together, you're addressing a problem creatively, you're creating almost like an alternative reality of how this problem could be solved if what you are doing was going to get into a bigger scale. And there's so many things that you are doing right that I find fascinating, and so many blocks that you manage to dissolve and keep going that other people get stuck to, that inspires me.
Yeah. Yeah, but somehow like working collectively is also kind facing another challenge of creating work. Like we have to deal, or like we have to understand with the idea of authority, and like with the things that we call it as a togetherness. And we also have to like keep the critical mind in the middle of celebrating the togetherness in a collective as well. So it's kind of like,
in a way,
two faces of life.
You will know your identity, isn't it? You are not Gatari Studia, you were Bakudapan, but Bakudapan makes you even more like fulfilled as an individual. And
that's really interesting topics that we also had that topics in these days internally in Bakudapan, because we realized that in a collective we have to aware and we have to concern about our personal life. Like I mean, like even though we are in a collective, we have to notice that we are independently individual that also need energy, time, and to be as an individual. Like for example, if even though I'm a Gatari as Bakudapan, but I also have the statement that I also Gatari itself. So it's kind of like the work that we have to put while we are working in a collective. So it's not the things that we are not always like getting, what is it, like blend in a collective, but we also have to aware and concern what and who we are in a group.
Yeah, can you tell me what's the age of the youngest member and what's the age of the oldest member, more or less, if you
so our oldest member is 35,
right,
and the youngest is they were born in 98, so
30.
98
1980s.
22.
Oh, 22. Okay,
Yeah.
so the youngest
22.
is 22.
Yeah.
Oh, you said 1998.
Yeah, they were born.
Oh, okay. So 20. So the youngest is 22. The oldest is 35.
Yeah, around 25 or 26. Yeah.
Yeah. The oldest you said is 35 years old.
35. Yes.
Okay. So because one of the things that I observe is that perhaps this, I don't know, do you agree with that? That perhaps the new generation, they're more kind of conditioned, or somehow they have it in themselves to work collectively, whereas perhaps the older artists, they are more in that romantic idea that one person is super creative and will create all solutions, and the other somehow will assist, but it's not going to be an equal creative process. And perhaps the younger people, they understand better that we work as a network, we work as a collective, that we are all creators, but we're all part of this bigger whole.
Yeah, that's also the things that we experience now, because as we know that the youngest generation, I mean like the generation in I can say in millennial era, we are very close to the technology, and then we also have the certain the way to living up the lifestyle, our own lifestyles that has totally different with the older generation. generations, and it's also a issue. But in Indonesia, especially in Indonesia, we were seeing that the younger generation has especially for the millennial, we have the different awareness in a political issue. Like, I mean, because in Indonesia, we are now has the many of problems, not problems, like many of issue with the government and the policy, especially on the land and the gender issue in here. And most of, not most, but many of younger generation in millennial era, they are very aware for that, because it's constructed by the internet culture as well. Because as we know that for the internet culture, we can get information very easy, and we can spread the information like very fast. So it's kind of like the things that we are, what is it, like have to adapt each other. Yeah. And we have to, because that's very important, where which step that we will step on first before we are starting to work.
Right. Well, can you tell me, Ruan Grupa, that is running the next Documenta, which is one of the top, like the most influential, like events in the art world, is from Indonesia. What is it about Indonesia that makes like Ruan Grupa come about and Bakudapan come about? Is there anything in your context that somehow, in my view, like Ruan Grupa is very interesting for some of the same reasons that you are interesting? Is like they work collectively as a group, they addressing issues around education and between themselves. Like they found ways of creating and addressing like issues that in a creative way. There are a number of things in terms of how they work that I think are really like a sign of the times and a way forward to deal with, to address the world's problems. What is it about Indonesia that sometimes, like in other countries, like I don't really see like collective organizing in this way? And what's it in Indonesia that influenced the way you are structured?
Maybe I was speaking behalf of the Indonesian peoples who are getting involved in a collective culture in here, because after in 1998, after 1998, after when Suharto, the dictator president, was fought, and many of peoples they started to like starting a group, starting collectives. Many of new initiatives was emerged at that time, because it shows us how about the freedom of expressions. Because during the Suharto era, peoples are restricted to like voice up their voice, speaking up their voice. So many when the dictators ended, so many people are like celebrating that moment. And many of at that time, many of the including in art, many students or like the artists or the writers, the curators, they started to like they started their collective, and they started to like working on very critical issues, like criticizing the government, or like speaking about the political issue, and using the public space as the platform to like doing protests. And many of people's like using the public space to like gathering the meetings or like discussions that discussing very critical issues, like criticizing the certain regime or like criticizing the system or something like that. And that culture was following until now. But basically in our culture in Indonesia, we have the term of Gotong Royong as well.
You have the what?
Gotong Royong, the term of Gotong Royong. Gotong Royong is working together but in a certain community. Like for example, I don't know in literal translations, but I can give you an example. For example, in a certain neighborhood community, we need to like building the public facilitations and to saving up the money and to like creating the sense of belongings to the neighborhood community. We are building that public facilitations together with the members of community, and the methods of working together is also negotiable, and also like the way the methods is also has to discuss by all the members. And
so there is a method.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a method.
Okay.
And the form as well.
And what's a method in there?
The form.
Okay. Tell me more about this method and about the form.
So like for example, the form, I can say it's also including as a form because working together, but wait, I'm thinking how to like explain it in English. So people working together, but it's also but somehow it can be seen as a ceremonial thing, but somehow it can be seen as a method to solve the problem, to solve the certain of problems. Like for example, saving money, or like building the sense of belonging, or like we can see it as a ritual in a community.
Interesting. And so at the same time you are addressing a problem, you are making like a ceremony?
Yeah.
Like there is some sort of, as you said, like a ceremonial, and so there is a form to it. There is there's something aesthetic that's happening. There's an experience that's happening, and you're addressing a problem, and you are like facilitating this relationship with community members and with the group that has the initiative.
But in the terms of Gotong Royong, there is only one community. So there are no other collaborators. So it happens in one community that they are agreeing for working together. Right. But they don't have the collaborators. So in Gotong Royong, we don't have that term. We just seeing that we are one. We are one community that we have to working together.
Interesting. So it's like everybody's in the same level. Everybody's responsible. Yeah. And this Gotong Royong, is it like is a thinker, is an author that I can research?
Yeah, you can find easily on Wikipedia, I guess, about Gotong Royong, because that's the very cultural term. And
how do I write it? It's G-O-T-O?
I'm writing on chat.
Thank you. Gotong Royong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm finding here. It says cooperation by members of a community to achieve a common goal. Indonesian language, spells Javanese, Gotong means Carrying a burden using one's shoulder, while Royong means together. Ah, very interesting. Amazing. Tell me, like a practical question, which how is, and I know some of the answers, but it would be interesting to hear from you. And in terms of very practical, in terms of funding, like traditionally, like artists sell like a piece, like a painting or a sculpture, or how is the vision in terms of funding for groups like Bakudapan, like a Ruan Grupa, and how do you you all have other work, so you work with like public grants, or you charge tickets, so how do you sustain yourself financially?
For Bakudapan, we started with our own money, and we also selling merchandise for started to like producing the publications or like initiating the project. But in the meantime, we working for like proposing the funding, the art funding or like research funding. Yeah.
Right.
But we don't have like the main core funding.
Yeah. And going back to, I mean, I'm very intrigued, and going back, you said from ethnography, you learned how to do studies that were focused on relation, and from art, what did you get from art?
The way how we delivering the message.
Okay, okay.
And we are mostly using art as our medium of presentation, and also to reach the certain publics that already consist in art public.
Right. Okay. Should we look to, I mean, I can keep asking questions, and should we look at the, maybe can you share like a few, like a couple of projects that you're proud of, or that are recent or coming up? Anyway, like choose something that you'd like to talk about.
I have the most favorite projects that we are working with Bakudapan, that we are working in Bakudapan. The name of the project is Please Eat Berkeley. So it's
so let's do you want to share the screen and show us your pictures while you talk? And I gave you the you can share your screen.
Wait, yes. Can you see it?
Yeah, you're on Google now, Bakudapan, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wait. I don't know. In these days, my connection in here is quite terrible.
Oh, we can do the opposite. I can show
Oh yeah.
Shall I do the opposite? So
I will stop it yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I will share here, and then. Oops. Can you see Bakudapan loading?
Yes.
Okay, so where should I go?
Okay. Projects.
Yeah.
Yeah. Edible weed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe the first post we can see some.
This one, April the 9th?
Pictures. Yes, April 9th.
Okay.
Yeah. So in this picture, we can see that some of people are picking some fruits in the trees on the road.
Yeah.
So we are call it as gleaning. Maybe you also have that term. So it's gleanings, like the activities to collecting the food after in a public area, in a public space, like for example on the road, or like the trees that laying up outside the house, or like outside the territory of the owner.
Yeah.
And we found, or like we are doing these activities under the project of Please Eat Wealthy. So this project is talking about the edible weed that we are seldomly eating it because we don't know, that plants or that weed can be consumed.
Right.
It departing from the history of agrarian history in Indonesia. In here, under the Suharto, the dictator era, we have the policies, the regulations that all the farmers, or like all the peoples who wants to doing growing the plants, they have growing the certain seeds that already decided by the government. And they also, all the farmers are have to using the chemical fertilizer to like gaining the number, the quantity of the, what is it, the quantity of the plant, the fruits or other seeds. And that situations that happens in a long time, and it makes the soil could be unfertile because of too much chemicals. And many of the original, the endemic seeds that come up from that emerge in a location, in a area, has gone because of the people's they don't know that seeds, because people seeing that seeds are has no quality for to eat. And that situations make the missing puzzle between the system, the food system in Indonesia, in culturally. So for example, for the younger generation, they don't know that cassava can be a good food for us because they has the good taste, or like they have the good nutrition beside the rice. And because at that time rice is kind of like the main food, the main carbs that we have to eat every day. So local food, so peoples are not recognizing their own local food. And we started the projects from that idea, from the idea of how to recalling the memory of the missing knowledge from the past. So we did the research about like what kind of the local food that can be grow, that we can growing in now in current time, and what kind of local food that can we eat. And we were working with some of not some, but with the farmer, the food practitioners, that they already concerned with this issue. And we found that many of the wheat that actually can be eaten by people, can be eaten by humans. We just don't know it because of unfamiliar taste, and also we didn't know that food can replace our food right now. So basically, we don't know how far we controlled by the government, by the system, about what we eat, or like what we serve on our dining table.
Gatari,
so we did.
I just missed it. Like in the beginning, so basically, what you're connecting, like the weeds with the history, with the politics, and with the nutrition. And just one bit that I missed. Why did the weed stop to be available and consumed in the first place? Is it because of the soil got exhausted with chemicals? Can you hear me?
Hello? Yeah, I can hear you. Okay. Firstly, it started from the fact that we are already back to the 80s, 1980s. The government has the regulations that peoples or all the farmers in Indonesia can be growing the certain seeds that already decided by government, and they also have to use the chemical fertilizer to gaining the number of the quantity of the harvest.
So the government policy defined what you had to produce and how much you had to produce.
Yes.
And that compromised the availability of the weed.
Yeah. Yes.
Which is now like available in like random urban places only.
Yeah. So
I see.
So it's removing all the local knowledge about the food. And in this project, we started to like recalling those knowledge about the local food.
Yeah. How is that? You said that from art you get the ability to deliver the message and to present it. How this became like an exhibition? And is there photos of this, or has it not become an exhibition yet?
Yeah, we exhibited this project several times, but our own first presentations, we cooked for the music concert from Dialita. Dialita is the group of survivor for 65 survivor.
Right.
The woman. And we cook the food from the edible weed. Yeah. Like, for example, the food that they usually found where they are in jail, or when they are being in a jail for the during the under the dictator era. Yeah. So after that we met with several people that has the similarity, the familiarity taste, or like the familiarity of the wheat, that they recognize, oh, this is the plants that I can easily find in our neighborhood, but I don't know that we can eat that plants or something like that. And yeah, from that we did for 2 years, 2 or 3 years.
So you're for 2 or 3 years cooking for this group?
No, only one time, but we did research about the whole project. It's like
for 2 or 3 years. And this group of 65 people, how did you choose them? Why did you choose them? How did you find them? And tell me more about the group.
So the group was that they were formed by the music label in here, and
label.
Because
wow.
Yes, because if we are talking about the 65 era, they not only in food level, but the government also controlling on a music, like the popular culture. For example, government restricting the certain song that has affiliation with the previous presidents, and this group and this mothers, this singer group, woman group, they were singing that song that has political power with the lyrics or like with their performance.
Right.
And at that launching album, we cook for the, what is it, like for the tickets.
So
and people's the
So you've chosen a group that had experience in 1965. So they were like older people, the same kind of the same situation of like state control, not in food but in music. So in a way, you connected the non-available the censorship of food with the censorship of the lack of availability or lack of access of food and music. And are there photos of this event where you with this group?
Sorry?
Are there photos or videos? Can we see what this event looked like?
Yeah, you can. I can write you on chat. You can find
Jalita
on YouTube. Yeah.
Jalita on YouTube. Let's see here.
Yeah.
What is Jalita?
Literal translations to be over 50 years.
To be over 50 years?
Yeah, because they are all ages, up to 50.
Which one should I touch?
Maybe, sounds from the corner. Yeah, they are all survivor.
Excuse me?
They are all survivor.
And so this is the event you did together with them?
Sorry?
This is the event you did with the group?
Yeah.
Okay, so they were singing and you were serving food?
Yeah.
Now, this Sounds from the Corner, is it like something you started or like they have 500,000 followers?
I don't know exactly maybe I don't know, but the music label that launched for the first is, I'm writing on chat.
So it's a music label that's well known.
Yeah.
And will there be you like serving the food after they sing?
During the singing, so people can be.
Okay.
Yeah, we have the table in at the corner, and people that have the ticket, they can get the food.
Oh, I see. Okay, so there's no video about you serving the food.
No.
Right. Very, very interesting. And should we look at another one? Let's go back to the Bakudapan website, and it's.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you want to say anything more about this project, or should we go to another one?
Maybe go to another one. Maybe the recent project about the pandemic, food and pandemic.
Okay, so let me move this. So I go to what?
Wait. Maybe. Wait. Menu. In menu. Let's see. In menu and at the recipe section.
Recipes.
Menu.
Edible kitchen.
At the left side of home news and menu project.
Okay.
Project.
Okay. Yeah. Recipes. Are you well known in Indonesia, and it's like people from outside the art world, and they like are you known?
Yeah, some of our colleagues and friends from Hong Kong and Singapore, I guess, they are participating on this project.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So basically we are like, we initiated the open call on our social media page, on our Instagram and Facebook. And we are inviting all people who are willing to share their recipe that they found it, or like they are usually cooked during the pandemic, because the situation in Indonesia in the first pandemics, there were many of regional lockdown.
Yeah.
And many of markets and like or supermarkets, they are they were closed, and they were, or like the price of the food are getting higher for the first maybe like 2-3 months early. Yeah.
So anyone can join the collective and share recipes that show how they address lack of ingredients or.
Yeah, but the main important things aspect in these projects or in these recipes is about like the methods, or like where do you get that sources of the food.
Okay.
Like for example, where did you find this food, or like because mostly of the recipes had already adjustment because of the limitations of mobilizations, but also has the limitations of finance. They are some of them are lost their jobs, or like some of people, especially in art work, they were stopped to their event, their project has to be postponed, so it affects their financial income as well.
Yeah, yeah, amazing. Wow. Okay, shall we? Let me share here again. So we'll go to to recipes. Any which you want to go to Foodemic, your economical way to stretch meals using chicken or protein in the fastest way.
This one, the Foodemic, a platform to share your stories and recipes during pandemic. Yeah, this is the introductions, and where is the
So how do people get together? Like apparently there is it's a platform to share stories and recipes.
Yeah, on the website. Wait, you can go to home section.
Yeah.
So you can see the whole recipes that sent to us.
Okay, so these Chinese tomato and egg and independent food, latest articles, kitchen Chinese Foodemic platform now. The grilling of a meaty masculinity, Bakudapan Istanbul Design Biennale. So some of these posts, they are recipes that were sent to you.
Yes.
Okay.
But mostly in Indonesia, because the participants are mostly from Indonesia.
Right, right. Like what's like Trakan Timun is like, oh, there's a Foodemic. So it's like a Foodemic project, Foodemic Poding Mary. So then I can click here and there will be a recipe. Okay, the ingredients and how you prepare it and some photos of it. I see. Wow. Okay. Gatari, I'm aware we've talked for an hour and I don't want to abuse of your time, of your kindness. You've been very generous, like sharing everything with me. I was very curious, and it's good people don't know how curious I am, or they would blackmail me.
Thank you also for exciting us. Yeah.
And, do you take foreigners, like if when pandemic is over, if I want to come over and join your events and be part of it, is it possible?
Yeah, that's totally possible.
Yeah, or if you have any online events, let me know. I would love to be part of it.
Yeah, of course. I will send it. Yeah, I will send it the information to your email.
Yes, yes, that's great. I'm fascinated how you found this way of working collectively and solving problems, and I think that's the way to go, isn't it? If humanity doesn't start working like this, then there's no hope for us.
Yeah, hope. Yeah. Thank you so much, Joe, for your invitations and your questions that triggering us to like thinking more.
It's been a pleasure. Okay, we'll keep in touch. All the best.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.